considered to be free lunch. So there's pretty reduced. Yeah, so let's see the economics.
That's it.
Isn't that?
No, I was gonna
40,
say,
they said 45.
Sunny Hill and Barrington's
We're like 60.
It's 90, well, besides what? They're like, one grade school.
Any, you got any finer points?
99%.
Finer points?
That's the only reason our school.
Well, I know, I'm just trying to think of more situations that,
They get their fathers, they friends with the picture, you know, with all the.
That's one of the reasons they have so
It's just.
I'll bring it up. It's the big buzzword, man.
Or I guess they pushed it going last year. Like this year they didn't know what it was.
That's funny.
right there. And then on top.
It's on my notes to bring up, but it's find what works for you.
They didn't know how to develop players.
Yeah, Capillo and Ralph.
Yeah, and Ben.
Yeah, Ben, yeah.
Those guys would do the same play 10 times.
Love the Super Smash. All right, I'll get around.
Hey, the next thing, you gotta have the handlebars. You gotta get it close on the handlebars.
All right, guys, thanks for coming out. We'll go ahead and get going here. I can have any videos beforehand, and we'd have to turn the room around and tell you at the clinics this week, so I haven't had time for anything besides responding to emails about what the promo code is. So, it's okay to laugh because I'm not. But so just some reminders: we're closing registration at noon tomorrow for the Wheaton Clinic. Otherwise, it'll be a walk-up. You'll get a walk-up fee even if you are a member. Last time we closed it for Belvedere, I got an email like 10 minutes afterwards saying I didn't have time to register. You had 2.5 months to register, but you didn't have time. No excuses. I'm not going to be nice this time. I'm done being nice. Remember at Wheaton, it is lunch on your own, so we'll be selling tickets first during registration time. Honig's will be there. Just actually talked. I placed my order today. Probably if you call first thing tomorrow morning, if you haven't ordered yet, you probably still be able to get in for them to bring the stuff up. Pre-order sale. They have some good deals on. Actually, I had some base shoes, and then I think it's like 15% off retail if you pre-order. No shipping charges. So if you're going to do that first thing tomorrow morning. I think the deadline was technically today, but probably can get it if you get in early enough tomorrow when we'll start pulling the orders.
What about if you buy it there?
No discount. Well, they'll give you the standard FEB discount. I think it's like 7.5% or something. But pre-order only is the deals, the $50 Reebok Zig shoes, which actually I bought today, the white ones because they look cooler. And then there's New Balance. They have a pair of New Balance, I think for I want to say 53 or something like 60.
75.
No, not for the deal though. On the flyer we sent out, it's actually 63. It's a better deal than what that is.
The new ones, the brand new ones?
Yep. So, so we have to pre-order it there. It's going to be regular retail, with the FEB discount at the clinic. They'll be set up. 8 o'clock registration starts. The Koenigs will be ready to go by then. They usually get there early enough and get going. We'll send the agenda out tomorrow. I'm going to wait until get the last of the guys registered, and I'll send everybody that registered. We've got 4 full tracks going. Should be pretty good. 2 cage work sessions in the afternoon in the gym with Derek Crable leading the way on that. So it's going to be real good. I mean, we have, 234 or something like that pre-registered now. Hoping to hit another 20, 25 people tomorrow morning, which you will. We'll have walk-ups, so it should be, between the 2 clinics, close to 400 people going through. So, exciting stuff. We were worried last year when we ran the Belvedere Clinic, we pulled away from our Wheaton attendance, and our Wheaton attendance was higher than it ever was. So, very exciting times. So tonight we have Derek Lee, longtime FEB member. I still remember Derek first time was at Woodstock High School. He had worked down Southern Illinois going to school, or Central or wherever.
Central.
South of 80 is Southern Illinois. So, very impressed with him the first time. Another teacher, I'm a teacher myself. I'm kind of biased on our presenters. And I think teachers do a really good job. And it's kind of what they do all day long. So they come here and kind of a little bit experience with it. It is a different feeling talking in front of adults, so you do get a little nervous. So he was here at 6:05. I think he said he was here set up. So we're going old school here. We got no audio visual. We're going old school whiteboard tonight. So for you guys, some of you are looking a little old school, so we'll go should fit right to your wheelhouse. So we don't have, sorry we didn't bring the chalkboard in, but you have to adjust a little bit. So turn it over to Derek. Here we go.
All right, so I have no formal professional training. I've never gone to pro school. Camps and clinics are few and far between for me. I've just picked up a lot of information from working with a lot of guys. You just kind of piece together the craft. Find what works for you, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today is, finding things that will work for you to help you be successful working the plate. And that's where you make your name. That's where you get known. You're not going to get known for working the basics. So hopefully you come with the mindset every day that you're going to want to work the plate and that you feel comfortable doing that. Ideally, this will help you start on that process of feeling comfortable working the plate. So a lot of interaction here I'm hoping for, so I'm going to get you guys working and hopefully thinking and talking to each other a lot about various components of working the plate. First thing, game prep. Prior to the game, we're talking day of and night before. What do you do? What do you think is important for the night before a game?
Everything's clean, you're gonna look good.
Okay, looking good. Make sure you have the stuff ready. What else?
Load the car.
Make sure you have everything. All right. JC.
Derek, if I'm working at a varsity game, I want to know if I'm going to be on a regular basis, so I'll
Okay.
arrange that the night before.
How are you going to do that?
Email my partner.
Email. Fantastic. And we have the new website capability to emails every day. So you should know well in advance who you're working with, so you shoot an email. So we got know your partner and communicate with them, clean and have everything, know where you're working. So I'm not going to write all this down, stuff that if you
Right
need
color
to.
uniform.
Yeah, make sure you have everything you need. Make sure you know who you're working with and what you're going to be doing that day. You know, whether you're on the plate or the bases. Anything else you need to know?
We want to know if the field is at the high school or.
Location, yeah. So a lot of stuff to work through. And how about you physically? What you do the night before?
Hydrated?
Hydrate, yeah. Not so much, I mean, it's important early still, although we may not feel like it in March when we're all freezing and we're in 4 or 5 layers. But you still need to be hydrated. Helps with focus and concentration. What else?
Don't take a chance eating at an Indian restaurant the night before.
Okay. Food choices, all right.
You also need to know if it's a what type of matchup you have, you know. If it's a varsity game and you meet your partner and you ask your partner when you call them prior to doing the play, hey, have you done it before? It's a good start there maybe. You psyched up whether you want to be there, psyched up prior to the game.
Well, I would say that you still want to have a certain level of intensity no matter the game. You know, have your A game no matter what type of game it is. But having an idea of how intense the game is going to be could be a beneficial part of your preparation. So, you know, there's a component there that is useful. How about sleep? I mean, being well rested helps you focus. When you're not well rested, I'm sure you can attest to this at your daily jobs, focus isn't always there. And a big part of working the plate is being able to focus for 200 pitches over and over and over again. So your first step to having success behind the plate is being prepared well before the game even starts. You know, well before you're even there. So go in with that mindset. Then pregame stuff. So now you're at the field, you're dressed or getting dressed. You're meeting with your partner. What are you talking about?
Rotations.
Okay, rotations.
Signals.
Signals. So general on-field communication. What else?
What ifs?
Okay, what if scenarios? There's a million of those, as we all know from our experiences at clinics. So we got all sorts of what if questions. We can cover a handful of those. So you go through your basic 2-man pregame. If you don't know what to talk about on the 2-man pregame, IHSA has a document. It's a little dated, 6 years old, but still useful. That gives you a list of things that you should talk about for your pregame. So know what you're going to discuss pregame. I don't want to waste a bunch of time talking about that right now, but if we have time later on, we can circle back to it. Next one.
I was going to say, also scope out the field in case there's any unusual obstructions or. The coach will tell you in pregame, but it's also good to know too, like.
Does that mean we go out to the right field and check the whole fence? No. I mean, just keep your eyes out for anything. Like Tiger Field, sometimes near the dugouts, will have an uncovered pipe. You guys are familiar with that. You know, just be aware of things. As you get more familiar with fields, you kind of know the general. Hey, Mike, right on time. Don't be late, by the way. That'll be another.
That's for sure.
Your partner might be wondering. Yeah, he'll show up. I can promise you that. You're just not sure what time. So be there in a timely manner. About, you know, if possible, at least a half hour, if not more. If you get there 45 minutes, even better. That would be something you want to email to your partner, tell him, hey, I'll be here at this time. If you're running late, make sure he knows. If you're going to be pushing the button of getting there at 4:30, make sure he knows. Make sure JC is aware that, hey, we have a time issue, and that way he can work with the administration and coaches so that they're not more worried than they should be. All right, coaches conference. So now you're on the field, you've signed the books. If you're working varsity, you should sign the books. That's how you help get your ratings. You send your partner, go get one of the coaches, you grab the other one. Who would like to, I need 3 volunteers. Yeah, come on up. 2 more. 1 more? All right, so who would like to be the umpire?
I'll be the umpire.
All right. Home coach, visiting coach, what do you do?
I'm Tim.
Robbie.
Tim. John. Players properly and legally equipped?
Yes.
No jewelry of any kind?
No.
Coach, you're the home team or you're the home team?
I'm home team.
Take us around the field, start here, please.
Okay. Well, with the dugouts,
Sure.
Okay. Well. Okay, so on the dugouts, there's that dash shove that's in play, so that's out of play. There's little holes on the right field fence over there. Goes to there, it's out of play. That's pretty much it.
Cool. All right. I did forget the lineup cards,
Yeah.
by the way. So
Whose line of cards do you take first?
home team.
Home team. So make sure.
Now I'll take your lineup card. Is this final and legal?
Yes.
DH in the 6th spot, I see.
Yep.
Got all 9. These are your subs.
Yes.
Thanks, Coach. Final and legal.
Yes, sir.
DH in the 7th spot.
Correct.
These are your 9. These are your subs.
Those are them.
Okay, you guys, any questions for me?
No.
All right, let's have a good game, good sportsmanship at all times. Thank you.
Let's do it. What's up?
Feedback for Tim. You miss anything?
One thing I always add when I'm the plate umpire, after we're all done, I'll go to my base guy who's standing right across from me, and I'll say, Derek, you got anything you want to add? And what are you going to say?
Nope.
Right, that's the right answer. If you're the base guy, always say, nope, we're good. Never walk on the plate guys, plate conference.
What did you notice about Tim? Is he long-winded or concise?
Brief.
Brief. You want to be short with it. You don't want to drag this out for minutes. This should be a matter of seconds. 30 seconds, get everything, get the information out, and then we go our separate ways and we get the game started. Yeah.
Says that you always ask the coach to start in a certain spot for his ground.
I usually start from the back and then have them work around.
I would suggest just like.
Yeah. That would be the one critique I would have with that is just let him start where he's used to. Because he has a routine too. If you think about it, every game that he's at home, he'll get that same question, and then he has this feel in his head. It's just over and over. So then when you throw him a curveball, kind of throws him off his game too. So you want to make people feel comfortable, especially coaches, and not throw them a curveball with your style. From the very open.
About Drew or either.
Yeah. If you see it, take care of it. Otherwise,
There's no need.
yeah. I know Masca has an issue with jewelry. He gets pretty.
He's getting old.
Yeah, he's getting curmudgeon about it. But it's just see it. Tell kids to take it off. Make it disappear.
It's one of those ingrained things.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim.
Well, in a varsity game, I like to know the coaches' names beforehand in the field, so that when we have the conference, I already know their names.
Yeah. That's another question I have. How do we address coaches? Coach or first name?
First name.
First name, yeah. That would be ideal. You want to know their names prior to it, if possible. So that would be another pre-game or before the game prep. Know who you're going to be working with. Any questions on having the pre-game conference?
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
The order that I go in, and I agree, you want to keep it 30 seconds or less. Get the lineup cards. Glenn, take us around. Are the players properly and legally equipped? Sportsmanship's the name of the game, whatever. Go to your partner. Do you have anything? Nope. Okay, let's go have fun. And that's it.
Yeah.
The first thing I do is I get the lineup cards first, and then Glenn takes us around, and then you just wrap it up.
Yeah. So lineup cards, which is what we forgot. So we kind of went out of order with that demonstration, and then
Typically that's
Make sure-
handed to you.
yeah.
They're usually
waiting.
Waiting
Yeah,
there.
that's their exciting time. This is their perfect lineup. They're ready to give it to you, and that's going to win their game. Yeah.
Is it really required to have the subs on the lineup card?
No, it's purely a courtesy.
and they can add on.
Yeah. So they can add on all they want. If they only list 9 players, fine. They can bring in whoever they want. Any other questions or comments regarding the pregame?
So, yeah, one more.
Yeah, Don.
If the during the pregame, if you've been there at the field several times, would it be uncommon to say, hey, you know, I know the ground rules already, or just let them do it?
You let them, because the other team needs to know. And who knows what has changed between the last time you were there and now. So, but mostly it's for the other team, so they are aware of what the ground rules are, so they can relay that information to their players. So it's not really about you so much as it is about the other team having that information. But of course, you need to know it as well. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I did a freshman or a fresh soft game with Barrington last year. Coach takes me around, and the right field was like wide open, and then there's a path. And they wanted me to award triple or home run if it rolls beyond it.
What do you think?
Is that a scenario where if opposing coach agrees, we go with it?
Can you supersede a rule book?
No.
No. So that you tell him we can't make up our own ground rules, or we can't make up the base awards based on your ground rules. We can't do that. You know, if it goes out of play, then it's going to be the award as described in the rule book. So they can't just arbitrarily decide, hey, if this ball rolls down this hill and goes out here, it's 4 bases. It's got to follow the rule book. They get to make the ground rules. They are establishing it as long as it meets the criteria in the rule book. But the awards are based on the rule book.
Okay, but if you got an outfield and then there's an asphalt path, and the ball goes past the path, it will be a double because you don't want people running around.
Right.
With
Yeah,
spikes.
yeah. They established that as a ground rule, but the point is that would be, 2 bases from time fit. You can't say, oh, it's 600 yards out there. We're going to give them 4 bases. That violates the rule. Okay, next. Now calling the game. In my mind, there are, first of all, 3 major parts to getting a good look at the pitch, to seeing what you need to see. There's your stance, your positioning with your stance, and then your tracking of the ball. So in my mind, that's what I'm considering when I'm trying to get a good look at the pitch. I want everybody to stand up and get in your stance. Imagine there's a catcher in front of you, and get in your stance. Look around. While you're in your stance, look around. There's a hot mom over in the third base dugout, or beyond the third base stands. All right. What do you notice?
It's a beautiful day.
Well, I mean, what do you notice about the stances?
They're
Different, yeah. Everybody's slightly different. I mean, but I was pretty surprised by the number of people using a very similar type stance. What do you guys call the stance that most of you are in?
Sure Davis.
The Davis stance, or another name for it, anybody? Box stance, like you're making kind of a box with your core. All right, have a seat. What are some other stances you know of? Scissors, yeah. Anybody want to demonstrate scissors for us? Anybody use scissors? Anybody ever use scissors? I know Crable says he'll do it when he gets bored sometimes. He'll be at a game, and maybe it's slow going and it's not very intense. And he said from time to time he'll just switch into the scissors just to change it up and to challenge himself a little bit and get a different view of the game. Some guys will use that based on the size of the kids that are playing. What other stances do you know?
Super slot.
Oh, the catchphrase, right? The super slot. How many of you have heard of super slot? Okay, so that's kind of like a squatting position, and then the positioning is kind of different in terms of, that's where the phrase comes from, super slot. So what I want you to do right now, with the people that are nearby you, groups of 3 or 4, I want you to weigh the pros and cons, the good things and the bad things of the box stance, the scissor stance, and the super slot stance. What do you see that's beneficial for using the box? What are the drawbacks of it? What do you see as the benefits of using scissors, and what are the drawbacks? And same thing with the super slot. So go ahead and talk amongst yourselves for just a couple of minutes.
You know, it's way back.
He said, I remember they asked me about it, he actually said, get up once the ball was hit, he came out the ball. No, he wasn't on the ground, but it was he threw it out. A lot. It was kind of like that when he was, he prefers it on me. He says, Rob, he can have problems with because when you normally do that, you're more
And finish up in the next 30 seconds to a minute or so. Finish up your conversation.
Sure enough, right. We're on You're going straight in the air.
All right.
That's for softball.
We'll start with the.
Yeah, it is. Mechanics are different.
We'll start with the stance that most of you demonstrated when I asked you guys to show your stance off. What do you see as the benefits of the David stance, the Fox stance?
more or less easier on the back.
Easier on the back. Okay, so physically easier on. What else? Why use it? Why do we all use it?
Derek, for me, I've been doing this for, since Jerry Davis came to our clinic in 2001. And hands-on knees gives you the best locking mechanism where your head height is always going to be the same. Because your forearms are extended, you're clamped on your knees, and even if you get tired, your head height's not going to vary and your strike zone's not going to shift as a result of that.
Okay, so the stability and being able to be locked in keeps you consistent. So less fatigue, because you're using bone structure to keep your stance as opposed to muscle fatigue. If you're just squatting in the super slot, you're doing that for 200 pitches or whatever. I don't think any of us are really stellar athletes. We're going to get tired. There's going to be some fatigue there. So when you use the bones to help you, there's less fatigue. So it's easier physically, and that's a benefit. Stability. What else?
Plate visibility.
What is it?
Plate visibility.
Okay, so you can see from there. It's comfortable to see in that position. Okay.
I have that as one of my cons.
That's one of your cons, all right? Harder to see. That's possible. It all depends on your size. Like Billy and I are a little bit smaller in stature. Could possibly make it more difficult to see, especially if a catcher is a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, where we get kind of blocked out. Anything else you see as a benefit? What's that?
Mobility.
What do you mean?
For like get out of the catcher's way.
Okay.
Just easier to get out of the way.
Quick first step.
Okay. Easy first step. All right, what are the cons then? What's the drawbacks of this?
Your forearm can get exposed.
All right, parts of your body are exposed. Exposed hands and arms. Anything else?
If you're putting a lot of weight on your arms and you get popped, then it actually should hurt more, and you might be able to break something easier than otherwise.
Yeah, when your arms are locked in, that's different than if they're hanging. Hanging, there's give. Locked in, there's no give. So it could cause more damage. So that fits with the exposed hands, and that's just another component to think about.
The other thing I always had problems when I used the box was the left-handed view with the left-hander on the box.
Left-handed hitter or left-handed pitcher?
Left-handed hitter.
Okay, left-handed hitter. So you're here, right? And you're...
I'm in the slot, but I just didn't always get a good look in the box. So
okay.
If you lock in, it's got the same adjustment. I'd have to adjust.
Okay.
When I do the box on a left-handed hitter off.
Anybody else have that?
Dominate. Yeah. I flipped the coin with that left-handed batter on the outside pitch.
Interesting. So we have the dominant left versus right, and then the perspective changes when you got a new hitter. And then anybody struggle with the Davis with a hitter that's right on top of the plate?
You got to try to duck in there, and then tell the catcher to move over.
Yeah. Well, but should you tell the catcher what to do?
No, but you can suggest if you want that, you better give us some space.
Okay. Good. Or
what if it's the batter?
Or you got to come up and come back. I mean, but a lot of times I try to get in there, even if I'm going to put I still need. I need to be able to see it, so I try to sometimes.
okay.
However I can get it, I get it.
And that fits with the positioning that we'll talk about a little bit on where we need to be with what stance we choose. All right, let's go to the scissors. What's the benefit of the scissors? Anybody ever use the scissors? I know I asked that.
No, but I did a game with Bill Orris, and he was using the scissors.
Yeah.
And
Bill Orris,
he says it gives him the ability to get into the play once the ball is in play. He can get out real quick and start moving afterwards.
Makes sense. It's like a sprinter stance.
Yeah.
As long as he's got the weight on the right parts of his feet, it's easier for him to move. Sure. And if you don't know who Bill is, Bill's a state finals guy. Been working baseball for 40 years. So hard to argue with success, right? So scissors work for him. Anything else positive about it? So more mobile.
Great look.
Okay, get a good look at the pitch. I mean, that allows you to, if you can't see the plate, there's a plate up here. And which foot forward?
I couldn't remember.
The righty's a left foot for righty.
So, something like this, right?
So you're up. You can get right up in there.
Yeah. You're more narrow. You might be able to squeeze in more comfortably as opposed to this. I mean, there's a big difference between my body size here and here. So, just something to think about. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I personally use the box. I don't know if I've ever tried the scissors even. Maybe it'd be something I might try to do. Like in the next couple weeks, it'd be a good idea to see what kind of looks you can get with the pitching that's going on now. I think you just sent an email, right? About somebody just sent an email out about seeing pitches. Now would be the time to try things, to see what kind of looks you can get, and then just get your eyes kind of retrained at doing step 3 there with the tracking. All right, super slot. Who's used that? All right. Benefits, drawbacks. Or actually, sorry. Let's go back to the scissors. Drawbacks of the scissors. Forgot the negatives about that. Yeah.
So head injury and neck injury.
Why neck injury?
Because they're typically leaning down, therefore they're propping their head up to see the ball.
Okay, so there's more strain on your neck. You're forward, and then your neck is up. What about?
Your head's less give when you get hit.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so impact to the face. How about balls to the ground? Pretty exposed here. That's something to consider. So there's a lot of safety issues with scissors.
Yeah. A lot more pressure on your thighs and your butt and probably your lower back.
Okay, so now more muscular issues and possibly back strain. It's not a very natural position. As opposed to this, I find this comfortable. We use this on the bases. I think you'd look awfully funny if you were out there on the bases like this. All right, now super slot. We got a couple guys that have used it. Why do you use it?
Because of my height.
Height. Okay, so you way up in there.
I need to get up in there because I'm short, so I get some bigger catchers. I go out on the super slot, and I can really see they can play it very well.
You're doing a very good job. I should have had somebody right for me, but so closer.
I'm an old catcher and I want to be as close as I can get.
Okay, so you want to be right up there. So super slot allows you to gain ground on the plate.
I have a hard time with the outside corner, so I like to throw that right
Okay.
in the box. That is. So that gives me the advantage in that super slot there to see that better.
Okay, so outside corner, you have the ability to see that better when you're moved up a little bit. Okay.
Could you demonstrate the actual positioning of it?
You're gonna. Well, anybody want to be a catcher?
I'll be the umpire.
All right, be the umpire. I'll be the catcher.
I use it.
Yeah. This is. If you don't know who Bill is, here's Bill. He'll be working games in a week or so. So I'm not a very big catcher.
Slide off a little bit. So what I try to do is like get really. So I'm tied in here. So I'm almost right on his head, right here. So you're down here, you can get right inside here. So if you get that, so I went to it a lot, like you said over there, because the lefty crowds me out, especially so I can get right in and dig in rather than try to go up and back and not get a look. So kind of wrapped right around the catcher.
So where's you protect your hand, I know, so you put it behind your knee?
Yeah, so when I go down, so a couple things too. I mean, just for me personally, I wear guards, like the foam guards, all the time usually. But I'm down here, and then I'll go down and set here. So I sometimes touch. I mean, you probably shouldn't. I don't do too much high school, but I usually come down in here, so I may touch, but I'll just go down right down here, so then I put my hands like right in here.
Probably more protective.
All right. This phrase kind of wrapping around the catcher makes a lot of sense. You get that? It's a pretty big left to right ratio here. You know, with the Davis stance, it's kind of a heel toe. With the super slot, you're a much bigger. It's almost like the scissors width apart. But you're just kind of wrapped around the catcher, and then you're more up in that slot area. That's why they call it the super slot.
Question with that: when the catcher moves outside of the plate, was looking for an outside pitch, and then your slot now moves even further outside the plate, does that keep you from seeing the pitch?
Wait, so you're saying Bill's here in the super slot?
Yeah, no, the catcher actually moves.
He's moving inside here, or right-handed hitter, or whatever. He's moving. Because if he's moving outside, it's just creating space between me and the catcher. Then you're just trusting the pitcher to hit his spot.
So it was a right-handed batter and he moves inside.
So
if I'm setting up off the inside corner here.
So first of all, like most of the catchers aren't gonna. Here's the one downside to the super slot. You're tight if you got a catcher that's bad, or you got a pitch that comes inside, there is going to be some contact.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's very rare. Sometimes you get a big. I had this catcher this year already at a college who was a walk-on because their second catcher got hurt, so he's just trying to get back in. So he was taking a lot of pitches, and he was big, and he late moved a lot. So you kind of got to know that. So when you get in there, there's a couple downsides. First of all, you can't get down too early because you're going to feel your thighs start to, if you get down too early on a stretch, you got to time your pitcher in this, because if you get down too early, you're down too long and your thighs start to ripple a little bit and you lose a little focus. So I try to get the pace of the pitcher and what he's doing so that I'm down but as soon as he breaks, I'm down. I don't want to be down on the pitch. I already want to be down, but you don't want to be down too early. And then if your catcher moves late, there's going to be some contact. If the pitch is inside, there's going to be some contact, but I really have there's very few issues, though. I don't know at a younger level if the catchers aren't very good. You're going to know that right off the bat, and you probably have to adjust a little bit. But for me, like with Derek, can I stand up, Derek? So like our size, for me, what I struggled with personally was when I had now I'm getting the really big catchers, 6'2" catchers, even in high school. And I mean, you get up there, and so now for me, I was trying to do the box. and then you go up and back. And I just was not getting a good look on the outside corner pitch for me. So actually, you know, and it was kind of like happened by, I think, so I went to Derek, who, you know, is going to be at the Wheaton Clinic. I recommend everybody if you're, you know, you get a chance to. So I went and talked to him, worked with him a little bit, and we just decided, like, hey, man, we couldn't get up and back because of my size, catches. So I just started digging in, and then I just eventually evolved into the super slot so I could get into this zone for me personally. And it just worked great.
Do you ever have a pitch that's down and in, like going to block? Do you ever have an issue with that foot wrapping around?
There's some contacted sometimes, but it's not that often. It's never been problematic with the catcher. So I haven't had any catcher interference umpire interference on the catcher that you might not have in the box. I've had no issues at all. But there are times when they slide out and you'll have contact on your foot. But like I say, it's not been problematic. Jeff, you anything college level on any problem? You know, I know you don't use it, right? Use box. Yeah, I don't know of any major issues that anybody has said to me. And like I say, you are going to have contact. It's a little weird at first, but for me, it was way better than not being able to see that outside, you know, that money pitch. So.
And it helps me to stay focused for whatever reason. I feel like I'm more into it, and I stay focused.
Yeah, do you get hit at all, do you think?
No, not
yeah, not really. It's, I mean, if
occasionally a bad catcher will stand up, you know, when you're not ready, but I mean, that happens very rarely.
Yeah, so mostly doing college are pretty good. I did have this kid, though, this year, though, that was, like I say, he was just getting back in the groove, and the coach actually told me to tell him, like, you know, get in a little earlier, don't move out, because it's not good for his pitcher either. But other than that, I haven't had, I don't know if anybody else, have you had any issues with that?
No, actually, like, exactly what you're saying. I couldn't see the outside pitch, and I was missing a lot of them. So when I seen Derek do that at the clinic last year and during one of the meetings here, that's where I picked it up, and I was able to use it, and I was able to see the outside corner a lot better because I'm so short. I do see once in a while, I do get hit once in a while by the catcher, because he, you know, at a lower level, they'll move back on it, okay? They'll come up with the ball, and then you get tapped a little bit, but I haven't had any interference with it, so, and I've been pretty comfortable with it as well.
So the only thing I say that I don't want to, like, if you guys notice that if you don't time the pitcher right and you get down too soon and he stretches, he stretches too long.
I try to time him the same way. I just make sure that I'm not down too long because then I have to.
You got the fatigue factor, right?
Because a box you don't get, you know, you can lock in, which is nice. So that's the only thing I would say. That's a downside. But if you're shorter or you're not feeling like you're getting a good look at the corners.
For me, it's shortness and a good look.
Yeah, you get a great look.
Big.
Yeah, you get a great look. So.
And that segues us into positioning. You know, generally we want to be in the slot. Where in the slot is going to be determined by a lot of what we're talking about here, the size of the people involved. You know, me versus, you know, Crable. There's a very big difference between us. You know, he's, you know, 6'2" or whatever. I'm 4'9", right? So we're going to be in the same general area, but where exactly? Well, that's going to have to be very specific to yourself. And depends on your stance. But you're going to want to be in the slot. The slot is the area between the batter and the catcher. Number one reason we're in the slot. Why is it?
See the pitch.
You think it's really to see the pitch?
You don't get hit.
Yeah, you don't get hit, right? You're less likely to get hit. I mean, I think I can see the pitch pretty good from out here, too. Nothing's changed other than I just switched to the right shoulder of the catcher. But much more likely to take foul balls off your person. You're going to get hit more. So you don't want to be out there. You want to be in the slot. Far less likely to hit. You're still going to get hit from time to time. It's inevitable. But in terms of foul ball contact, far less likely.
Does that statistic change with a left-handed pitcher who pitches curveballs or change-ups?
I have no idea. I haven't looked at any of the metrics on that.
Well,
Al, you're the tech guy. You can research that.
It has nothing to do with the pitch angle or anything. It's the foul ball. The foul ball angle off the bat. It's going to go up and away. You have a less chance of getting hit by a foul ball being there because of the way the ball travels off the bat. Nothing to do with pitch selection. You ball off that. Probably
Goes the opposite way.
The farther right you are, the better chance you have. or farther away from the batter.
Yeah, further away from the batter, more likely for foul ball contact. Okay, so that's the biggest reason for your being in the slot, is for your personal safety, and you should also be able to get a pretty good look in there. And an inside corner pitch, a pitcher's going to want, you're right there for it. In the outside pitch, well, now there's a little bit of room for you to work. Maybe you don't have the best look at it, but there you can start to steal strikes, and we'll kind of get into that with philosophy there. But that inside pitch, it's hard to go a baseball or two off the inside because you're kind of taking the bat out of the kid's hands. But a baseball out, that's a 34, 35-inch bat. He can go out there. So gets you that a consistent view of that inside pitch. The only issue is sometimes if we're up too far. I don't know, Bill, if you ever have pitches explode on you being so close, where the hands of the batter kind of get in the way, and all of a sudden, boom, the pitch is there, and you're just kind of. Anybody have that explosion feeling, or just you kind of flinch with it? That's one of the issues with being there. So you gotta make sure that pitch doesn't explode. So that's where I don't like to be as close as Bill does, because I don't want that pitch to explode. I don't want it to just be boom on top of me, and then I'm kind of stunned for a moment, and now I got to regroup and, well, what did I just see? Yeah.
For me mentally, what I do for my mental workup to that is I focus like a hitter would focus. So I don't know if you guys, everybody's probably played a little baseball, but I don't know if you've gone up to bat and you come away and made it out, and you really didn't see the pitch at all, and you come back and go like, I wasn't concentrated, so I step back, like Jeff talks about his talk, one thing I took from him is like step back, recalibrate, move back forward, and kind of get in that routine. So mentally, when I'm down, I like to be like a hitter. I mean, I like to actually, it's hard to explain, but really focus as hard as I can, even to see the rotation of the baseball, locking in the baseball for all of its movement, even into the glove and the glove. So I rarely have that happen. I guess it could, but I don't find that to be a factor.
Okay, so then that leads us to tracking. How do you track a pitch?
Your eyes.
With your eyes. All right, we shouldn't be moving our head. Why not move your head?
It's perspective.
Perspective change, yeah, right? If I'm, here, and I start moving my head, my perspective changes a little bit, and with that comes inconsistency. What's one thing coaches want? They want you to be consistent all the time. They yell about that constantly. If you're inconsistent, they'll let you know about it. So when you start moving your head, that leads you down a path of possibly being inconsistent. And sometimes we lose focus, and we start to drift a little bit, and our head moves just a little bit. I've done it. Alice pointed out to me, it's like, I noticed on the outside pitch, your head moved a little bit. All right, I got to make sure that I'm not moving my head, I'm just using my eyeballs to get pitch from hand all the way through. Where am I tracking it to? To glove, and do I stop there? I want to see what happens with the glove, right? I mean, yeah, you can see the catcher here catch it, but what happens if he brings it down here? What does that look like to everybody else? Ball. So you really got to track it all the way through the reception of the pitch. You can't just track it to the zone. It would be nice if we could do that, because we could probably get a lot more strikes. How many curveballs, especially at lower levels, have you seen crossed at the knees, but the catcher's a mile back and it bounces? Can you get that? It's going to get you in a lot of problems if you try to get that. They're going to scream and yell, even though when it was here, it's a good strike, but man, it didn't look that way. So you really got to track it deep. And if you're finding issues with that, we'll get to timing a little bit, but timing will be a big factor, as well as seeing the whole pitch, not just seeing part of it. So any comments or questions on tracking? What am I missing with that? It's just a lot of eye usage.
You got to watch the ball, read the pitcher's hand.
Yeah, so you're starting here. So by the time, that's an important point, by the time he's getting to his release point, you should be set. All this stuff should already be together. So you should be in your stance. So like Bill was saying, you don't want to be too early because that leads to fatigue. But you don't want to be late either, because if you're late, you're now trying to track with your eyes while you're getting down. So you want to make sure you're set in the right position. And then now you can have your eyes do the rest of the work. We good on that? So that's all helping you to get a good look. Now you've got the decision. So this is a completely separate component. Now you've seen everything, you've hopefully gathered all the information, and now you've got to decide, what is it? So what are the factors? Let me see here. I had a note on deciding.
Eric, could I jump in real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Another thing that, from the hitting standpoint that I brought to the umpiring standpoint too is like keep you from fatiguing and not knowing you're fatiguing. Like you say fatigue, you think you're like out of breath or something, but sometimes it's just that little bit of lack of focus that you fatigue.
Yeah, you got two different types of fatigue. You got mental fatigue and you have physical fatigue. And they both impact each other, especially physical to mental. You know, when you start thinking about, man, I'm getting tired, now your mind is not where it should be. And now you also have the mental fatigue component where you're just not focused as much as you should be. So there's a lot of fatigue factors, which is going back to game prep, hydration, and well-rested, and nutrition too. Somebody mentioned that.
I had a hitting coach that gave me this little tip that I use in umpiring. It really helps from that standpoint. And that's like when you first start, once you get the timing, you got to get your timing of your pitcher. So when you umpire and you're doing that pre-pitch, and I watch to see what their movement is and their sort of pace is, that helps me get down at the proper time. But the next thing is I start right on their belt rather than on their pitch, because then I go from I stay on the belt. If I stay on the belt of the pitcher, then when he makes his move to his pitching position, his arm slot, then I go to his slot. So I don't try to get in his slot thinking I'm going to know his arm slot. Sometimes it changes by choice or not by choice. So I'm not here with my eyes and then tiring. So I'm on your belt, and then once you start, now I move to your slotting position.
Okay, so then by the time I'm here, now you're set and ready to go.
In your slot.
Okay.
You're either side on 3/4 or underhand, but you can get fooled a little bit. But most of the time, guys are all the same. They're either here, they're here, or they're here. So I do the belt, and then I go into the slot, so I don't get right in their slot because you'll just fatigue mentally and you don't know it.
Okay, good point. And how do you know where a guy's arm slot's going to be? What can you do?
Watch them warm up.
Yeah, you can take a peek, right? The last, 3 of the last 4 pitches, and maybe before they're throwing it down, you take a look at a couple, and you just kind of get used to where that ball's coming from. And that way you're a little bit better prepared for where to pick up that baseball at so you can track it the whole way. All right, timing. What do we need to do with timing?
Slow down.
Slow down. Always better to be slow than fast. This is true for behind the plate and on the bases. Better to be too slow than too fast. When we screw up calls, it's usually because we were too quick. You're just excited to make the call, and all of a sudden, while you're making the call, you're now processing what you just saw. So it's all about giving yourself time to process the information. So don't be in a hurry. So that's the first error correction move. When you find yourself starting to struggle, check your focus and then check your time. Am I too quick? And you can ask your partner that. Post game would be the best time to do that. But if you're really, finding it to be a bear come 4th inning, ask him to come down. Hey, what's going on with me? What have you noticed? Do I need to? What can I do to get back on track? So timing is of huge importance.
Also keep your timing consistent.
Yeah, and that's another great point. You just get a rhythm. Rhythm makes it so much easier.
If you start jumping around, you look like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So this whole thing is kind of a rhythmic flow too. You've got to get in that flow, and then once you're there, your timing should flow with the rest of that rhythm. Now, philosophy. I know. Do you talk about this with yours? I haven't attended yours in a while. Your balls and strikes, working the plate.
Which one? Philosophy?
Yeah, philosophy. Yeah. What's our philosophy? What's your email end with?
Get a strike. Call strikes.
Call strikes, right? That's a basic philosophy of working the plate.
Get that first strike, get that 2-0 strike.
Yeah. Knowing what will help the game move along. Nobody likes a game that drags with a bunch of balls and a bunch of walks. Nobody enjoys that. So you want to try and establish a rhythm within calling pitches. You try and grab that first strike. Try and grab that first strike of the game. But you can't be ridiculous with it. You got to know where the line is. You got to know what can you get away with and what can't you get away with. So generally, what do we try to get away with calling strikes? What pitches do we want to call as strikes that maybe aren't technically strikes?
In and out.
In and out, right? Well, how far in, how far out?
I think that adjusts a little bit to the level you're working.
Okay, so level matters. High school varsity, you probably don't want to go too far out. You probably don't need to, depending on the quality of the ball.
Depends how the catcher presents it.
Yeah, now you have the whole picture, the whole information to help you with deciding, the tracking all the way through the glove. If he's, giving one of those where it's ending out, he's here, one catcher's sticking this pitch, but now you got a catcher that's allowing it to drag outside his outside knee. Well, it's everybody else that looks like a ball. So it's awfully hard for you to get away with calling that a strike. Even though it might have been close enough, you really got to factor that in, and that's where the timing, again, comes into play. So all these pieces, I hope you're seeing, all fit together. What else with philosophy? Do you guys have any philosophies on ball strikes? What do you think about?
3-0, 2-0.
Okay, so count, and Jeff just mentioned that. 2-0, you try and get a strike. How about 3-0?
Send worse.
So you got a pitch that's a ball or two outside, 3-0?
Ball 4.
Ball 4. Why?
Send him to first base, you do that row.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that you're striking that 3-0 pitch and it's outside. If it's truly outside on 3-0, send him to first base.
Yeah.
Get that 2-0 pitch though. Because now you got a 2-1 count and the batter's going to be up swinging. The next pitch is going to be a good pitch. Let the players decide.
Yeah, and with 3-0, I mean, what's the likelihood of him, he threw 3 straight balls, are you going to now throw 3 straight strikes?
Yeah, right.
If you're stretching on that pitch, no.
Right, you need 2 foul balls and then ball 4.
Yeah, right. It always bites in the ass. You're trying to do the pitcher a favor and it bites in the ass.
I
So
think there's a lot to do with perception though too. The catcher sets up outside and he drops the pitch inside. It may still be in the zone, but if he's moving way over there to get it, I mean, everybody thinks that's a ball.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so perception.
If you're a 10-year-old, you're still calling a strike. But if you're upper levels, that's gotta be a ball.
So that's kind of what we talked about with deciding in philosophy. You got to consider the age and the talent level. You got to consider the catcher's ability or inabilities, and you think of the count. So there's a lot of things to consider, and it's important to kind of have this already worked out prior to working games. Have an approach. Much like Bill referenced thinking about like a hitter. Same thing. Have an approach. Have a mindset going into what do you want from your game? How do you want it to flow? So, any other comments on philosophy? Yeah, Rob.
Don't be afraid to call that pitch at the top of the strike zone.
Okay. Ever get in trouble with that though? I mean, which one do you call? Do you call it fastball up here, or do you call it curveball up here?
Cross is there.
Okay. Do you ever catch grief? I mean, what's easier for coaches to see, up and down or in or out?
Consistent down. Up, down.
If you want to call that pitch, make sure you do it right away.
I mean, don't be afraid to call it above the belt. Or
Yeah, if you want to go belly button, great, go belly button. If you want to go a shade up, fine, but make sure you do it right away and you stay there for both sides. If you don't, then you're going to catch grief, and you certainly can't go there in the third inning. If you decide, man, these guys aren't throwing enough strikes, these curveballs are coming up way up here, and I got to get some more strikes, and you start calling that, that's when you're going to start hearing the chirps about, you can't change the zone, you can't call that up there. So you really got to, have that mindset established, and then go, from first pitch. Yeah.
One thing I like to do is I love to get that inside strike and not be afraid to call it.
Yeah. So baseball off the inside corner, sure, grab it. You want to go 2? All right. Might be able to get away with that.
Especially the way batters are crowding the plate these days. They expect something this far away to always be a ball.
Yeah.
I expect the kid to reach that inside, but I'm not going to go 2 balls outside. He should be able to get that inside pitch.
Okay. So, again, going back to catch presentation, that plays a role.
If he gets in there himself, then I'm going to get it.
Yeah. So, if the catcher's, if you want to call a strike and he's not catching it, receiving it well, he's drifting with it, carrying best, tell him, hey, if you want that pitch, you gotta stick that for me. You gotta grab that where it's at. Otherwise, I can't get that for you. So you work with your catchers too with this. All right. Next phase now. the fun phase, right? The announcement, where you get to now tell everyone your decision. You know, and they're either going to love it or they're going to hate it. So, take a moment to think. What do we need to consider with announcing our calls? Think for a second, just inside your head. What do you think about when you're announcing your call? Besides, you've already made your decision. You know what you're going to call. So now, what should you be cognizant of, aware of, thinking of, when you're going to announce the call?
How you're going to announce it?
So hold on one second. Now, that's part of it. So now go ahead and work with somebody. Pair up with somebody. What do you need to do when you're announcing the pitch? Your decision. You're not announcing the pitch. You're announcing your decision. What do you need to do? What do you need to consider?
You gotta make sure you're not
Well, you don't know this, that's why you're waiting.
All right, let's bring it back here. What is important with our announcement? Practice. All right, well, we already made our decision, so now sounding decisive would be, okay, so now you know what you're calling, hopefully. It's a quick process. You got to get in that rhythm and flow so that you're, seeing the whole pitch. I for one, I try and replay the pitch in my head really briefly, the whole way through, and see where it was and what the catcher did with it, and now, all right, I know what I'm going to call. So now we're, sorry, let me get to my notes here. So we got the vocalization component. You got to vocalize it. What else?
Signals if appropriate.
All right, signal. Yeah. So, how do you signal?
Strong and aggressive.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Well, what are the two basic ways to signal strikes?
Hammer or point.
Okay. What else? You're missing a key one here.
The timing of the call?
Do I do it from down here?
No. So it's up.
So posture, right? Okay, so posture, and then I have one. That's pretty much it. Oh, what hand do I do the hammer with, or the point?
Right.
Right hand. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna have you guys discuss how you vocalize a strike call. You five, if you want to go across the table. What's the posture? What's important posture? What should you look like? You guys, put better. Hammer point.
First strike.
Yeah, first strike. You guys, again, how do you vote? You guys can work with what's better.
Both.
The worst part about being a wing is people getting that take to yourself. You're right.
Yeah, it was.
I was thinking if you got this, cookies and third base, that's what I
Outside of the zone. That's what I mean. That's the side of the street. You don't want
don't realize it's from there.
The hammer, you're trying to turn it up the hammer. So you're basically, it's always, if you're starting like this.
He's giving a sample.
Well, he's actually so great, just try to make change.
Almost all the time.
You're hammering all the time, and then you hear the smash.
From your knowledge base, can you go?
Okay, let's start with vocalization. Who are my vocalization here? How do you vocalize? What's the big things with announcing your decision with verbally? What do you got to do? You kind of touched on one. You had one.
Sounding decisive.
Yeah, decisiveness. Okay. What else is vocalizing?
Be consistent.
Okay, consistent what?
In vocalization.
Okay, consistent tone or
The same thing at the time.
Yeah.
And also your posture and timing should be.
Sound, ball should be the same. Don't say they go ball.
Okay,
Don't end it like a question, it's ball. Ball. Ball.
Ball.
Consistent
Ball.
time too.
consistent volume, tone, and time. Okay. What else with announcement?
Your timing should be consistent. When your posture, if you're calling a strike, it should be nice and slow.
Okay.
Not hurried sometimes and slow other times.
Okay.
Does everybody always verbalize a ball?
Should.
Should be. Ball's a ball. You call it a ball. Otherwise, there's no pitch.
You gotta, it's close, they'll assume it's a strike, and they're like, wait a minute, I got 0-2, what do you got? And then I got 1-1.
You gotta announce every pitch. Make your decision known to everybody in the area.
What if it's this one? You wanna call that one out, rub it in his face?
I just say ball. I mean, that's kind of where you can have a little bit of variation with your tone. You know, if it's an obvious ball, you use ball. You don't have to ball. So you know, to have a consistent tone every single time. What about strike three?
It's gotta be different than whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have a little bit of tone change and intensity change. So, you know, you're gonna ring a guy out. Need a volunteer or two.
Can I see your strike three real quick? I've never seen out, that's why I was
Well,
asking.
you're gonna see later in the evening.
Well,
Why would I ruin
I'll wait.
the anticipation?
Call strike three.
I know, I'm a big tease,
People here,
right?
go
Big tease here, right? Anybody wanna demonstrate their just normal strike call? Anybody willing to go out of their comfort zone? Sure. You don't have to come up, you can just do it right from there if you want, and then, okay, anybody else? I mean, how many of you in here, like, make strike, the phonetically pronounced strike? Anybody say strike? Okay. How many of you use some other variation of it?
I don't have an S in there.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I have an S in there either. So we have a variation with that. You find what works for you. Practice. Find something you're comfortable with barking, yelling out loud, because you want people to know what you're calling. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's almost more like a hike than it is a strike.
So strike. Don't you emphasize the CK? Like as of a year and a half ago, maybe?
I don't know. It's just, I don't know, to be honest.
That's what you did.
So, the big part is find something you're comfortable saying. You know, some people say strike, that's fine. Some people say some other variation of it, also fine. Just be consistent with what you're doing and make sure you sound sure of yourself when you're announcing your decision. You know, strike with a question mark at the end of it is going to bring up a lot more questions. So vocalize. I struggle with this personally. How about posture along with vocalization? What should be the relationship there?
It should be firm. Stand firm.
Okay, so firm.
Should be standing when you call a strike.
Standing when you call a strike. Okay.
You can project better if you're higher up.
Okay, so up here, using your diaphragm, you're upright, you can announce your decision, and it's easier to project it out. I struggle personally with aligning this, my signal, and my vocalization. So I guess that all fits with posture and the hammer of this. I like to call and then point. I got to get out of that habit. Personally,
Should we vocalize it and signal at the same time?
I think that's ideal.
Right.
I think that's what, if you were to go to a clinic, that's what they're going to want you to do. But if you, like me, I have to break a 13, 14-year habit of, announcing and then this. Which, for me, I mean, it gives me an illusion of good timing, although I think I could be better if I would slow down my vocalization and align it with my signaling, with my point.
Well, I use the hammer, so I'm thinking when my hammer hits the nails, when I vocalize.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice little tactic or a key to help you get in a rhythm of, again, all flow, Hey! Yeah, that works. Who uses a hammer here? Let's go into that now. Okay, who uses the point? Okay. Why should I use the hammer? Why should I change? Hammer guys, sell me on it.
It's what I see the pros do mostly.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's the mechanic that's in the book.
Okay, so
when you do a hammer, you're facing forward. Some guys tend, when they point, to turn. And now, especially if you're in a one-man game, what just happened over here?
Yeah, exactly, Jay. That's a good point. It does look kind of funny pointing here, and looking straight. It's just there's a funny feeling to it. So, we just have a natural instinct to point and look in the same direction. So when you're here, everything's already out in front of you. So that's a good selling point. And, yeah, to be honest, when you had me do that, I felt good. Yeah. Why shouldn't I do the hammer? Especially a guy of my size.
I think it's less visible.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have the catchers. Yeah, the catchers are blocking me out. People can't see me doing that, and that's one of the things that have kept me from doing it. I need to bring my step stool with me, right? And bring it out there and drag it up, and then I can get in that rhythm of climbing up 2 steps and then hammering. Why should I keep pointing? All right, so yeah, looks awesome. Old school. This is boom.
Yeah, they like to say the hammer for the punch out.
All right. So you get some variety there if I go this way and then punch out. How do you punch out with a hammer?
You hit the nail twice.
Oh. You two-handed? Okay. Anybody else? Why else should I do the the point? Or why shouldn't I? I mean, tell me. First game, or the game I work with Anthony, I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do. Should I hammer or should I point?
Hammer.
Hammer? Point. All right, I'll try the hammer with Anthony. You got the, oh, he says he's got the dick.
Or you'll do the pointing in front.
All right. That's a good one. It's usually called play. All right. Find what works for you. Look in a mirror. Know what you look like. And then especially with the big one, you know. That's my physical motion with it. And I strike 3, you know, up and then, you know, it's kind of like, it's a variation of bow and arrow, but yeah.
What's your opinion on calling strike 1, 2, 3? I've heard it say both ways, where you should never vocalize a strike, the number of the strike, 1, 2, or 3.
Feedback on that, guys? Any
I'm not
preferences?
smart enough to do that.
Yeah, right.
I tried when I first started, I screwed it up so many times.
Is it bad to like if it's strike 2, yell 2?
I think if you have the cognitive ability, but
I'm of the opinion you're calling it a ball or a strike, so saying 2 is neither of those.
I'll go strike, and then I'll go.
2, yeah. I've already guys do that, but I'm just of the opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just saying you're calling it a strike or a ball. You're not counting. So.
Like when I worked with Alan, I was doing 1-on-1, and he was like, when you were at the Woodstock, and you said you should always wait till 2-1 or 1-2.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. And usually a third pitch and then every pitch after that.
So I used to do 1-1, or a lot of times what I'll do is, especially when I'm by myself, and I want the guys to know what's going on. You know, I'll get ball. All right, 1. I'll go, guys, 1-1. Let's go. You know, and then I'll do it to just them.
Yeah.
And then I'll start doing 2-1 or 1.
Right. You don't need to signal every pitch.
Know what's going on.
Yeah, you can just calmly tell it to the people nearby you that need to know. Yeah.
Is that okay?
And
or
usually,
change?
no, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, they should be able to count 2 pitches. They should be able to keep track of that. But
I guess it's my OCD or whatever.
if you're in that habit, that's fine. You know, I occasionally will remind if there's been a long delay, pitch got away. You know, hey, we're 2-0 guys. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's good or bad, it's kind of a habit. It's like first strike, 1 finger out. Second strike, 2 out.
Well,
whatever works.
you got to make sure you.
It helps me just keep on thinking where I am.
Okay. As long as you know for sure that that's a second strike, I don't really see anything wrong with it. I don't. You know, it just bites you in the ass if you're actually on strike 1.
Yeah, if you're wrong, you kind of.
Yeah, so strike 1 and you're doing 2 and.
How about ringing up the guy on 2 strikes?
Yeah.
I got an email last year saying we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
How
about right. If you can get away with it, right?
You can actually slow it down pretty bad.
And you can also try and sell them on 2 outs and see anything. You can try a lot of things. They don't always work. How about showing the count?
I usually wait till the catcher gets down.
Where should our hands be? Even with my height, I shouldn't be up here? No, you want to. Yeah. Yeah, you want to just be in a mildly relaxed posture, have your hands about shoulder height. You know, out in front, extend your arms, you know, almost completely. You don't have to, you know, be locked out at the elbows, but just a relaxed 2-1, you know, and always left-hand balls. It's always from your perspective. Balls first, then strikes from your perspective. So it should never be 1-3. You know, so always balls, strikes. So always from your perspective. Don't try and do them any favors. They don't do you any favors. All right, and then posture. What's important with posture?
I feel confident.
Okay. Present yourself accordingly. Be up. Have a good stature as best you can. I do my best to overcome my limited height. Anything else with posture? I know, yeah, Billy.
So like one of the big things is, and this happens often, but I think it ties back into your timing. So you get that 1-2 pitch, that 3-2 pitch, and you want to ball it. Make sure you stay, you know, you want to stay down. Maybe enunciate the ball on that tight pitch that he knows the ball, but everybody might think it's a strike.
Yeah, catcher makes it look good, but it's farther out than you've been.
A little louder, and you want to stay down. You want to, as soon as you start to have to pull the gun out of the holster, everybody's messing.
Ball.
It happens always, but that's just a timing issue. So then you got
Yeah, seeing it and having your decision before you're going to announce your decision. So what Billy's talking about is having one of these. Ball. Yeah, you got up, your timing's a little off. So it's just, that pitch is a little off. Ball. and now you can relax. So, you know, that's,
Oh, is that one move?
yeah, you say that pitch is away. Yeah, how do you answer that? Do you do one of these? Do you just ignore it? I mean, it's kind of one of the finer points.
If you were one, I said it's a ball.
Is it? Would you take that as disrespectful? If somebody said that to you?
I would. If you build a rapport with the coaches, then you're like, hey, it's a little outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So
keep moving.
So starting from the get-go with introductions and things, and then having a positive relationship, saying it's a ball, he already knows you called it a ball.
Coach.
So yeah, you politely reply, you know, I had that ball outside, you know, or that ball was down.
You don't want to answer that question 15 times.
No, you don't want to. So if it's a continual occurrence, you could, you know, mention between innings. I'm not going to be answering every single question you have about where that pitch was. You know, I out of courtesy, I answered the first couple times because I felt, you know, those were close. But now you're going to have to understand that I'm not going to answer you every single time.
What I'll usually do is, within the first 2 innings, I'll get a good establishment with the catcher, and then I'll let him know where I'm seeing this ball at. After the second inning,
that's a good.
He does it. After the second inning, I stop talking to him about where I've seen the ball, unless he kind of turns and asks me. But I'll you know, quietly tell him where I've seen it.
Yeah. So the catcher wants to know. You can tell him, yeah, I got that pitch
Well,
up.
I do that right off the bat,
Yeah.
from the first 2 innings. You got it here, you got it there. Bring
And
it
that-
up a
yeah,
little bit.
at that
You
point,
miss
you should
that
know,
by a good ball or two on the outside, or bring it up some.
Yeah. And then by the third inning, you should know.
Yeah, he knows where it's at, and after that, he's on his own.
And he can talk to the coach too, so you can use your catcher as a go-between for relaying that information. If you get sick of answering out loud, you can say, you know, hey, tell your coach where that pitch was.
Do you ever tell your catcher you missed one?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that every inning. You really don't want to do that more than once a game. So if you say it, you better make sure you're doing everything else right now and you don't miss another one. You're out there to get it right as often as you can. And I realize we're going to miss them, and even after you say it, you're probably going to miss another one, but you don't want to get in the habit of saying, oh, I missed that one too. You know, once you start adding that also in there, now they can start counting your screw-ups, and they remember that. Yeah.
Well, when the next one comes in, that's, you know what, yeah, I got that one.
Yeah.
If they ask you where it misses, make sure you always say in or out.
Yeah.
It's always in or out.
That's a good
Another
point.
thing along those lines too, that, and this can vary depending on catcher and who you are in the game, but is so a couple thoughts. And I do it both ways, but I don't know what you guys do, so this might be interesting. So like, there are many times where I call a pitch if my catcher has a tendency to hold a pitch, and I don't mind if they hold it. You know, I don't care, it is what it is. But if they hold it, I might go ball out, down, ball up. If they got the curveball that comes in, you know, and it's right at the letters, and I go ball up, I'm going that's up. Just my catcher. So.
Yeah.
But then if he holds a pitch, and then he'll ask me, so you got the low outside pitch, strike the ball. I think it's low. He goes, is that outside, Bill? I go, yeah. So I'm going with whatever he thinks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When he does it, even though I
He's
have
talking
my
to the coach
head
anyway.
low. What's that?
Because he's talking to the coach anyway.
I don't really care too much about the coach. Like, so here's another thing I had happen that I thought was disconcerting. This is my one little bitch about high school that happened to me. So I didn't do it, and I'm not saying that one's better than the other, but this kind of annoyed me from the umpire perspective. So I did this game like late in the season when my season was done. And this coach from this high school team asked me like a ton of times, he kept going, Bill, where's that pitch? Bill, where's that pitch? Bill, where's that pitch? And I never answered him the whole time. And then after the game, I was walking off, I think I was with Vito, and I'm walking off the field, and he goes, hey, Bill, can I ask you something? And I said, sure. He goes, how come you never answered me when I kept asking where the pitches were? And all I said to him, I thought your catcher's name was Bill. I mean, I was pissed, and then you know what happened? So this is what pissed me off more. Jeff sent an email out about watching this play on that high school channel thing they have. I don't remember what it's called, but you know how you can see videos? So I was going to go look at that play, and I went back and I saw this game, this team versus Larkin, like in March. So I thought, they got the same coach. So then I'm in May, I go to a March game, and this, you can hear him ask, and the umpire answer him every time. Like right off the bat. So I think it's like a problem we have that we're training the coaches
to respond,
to answer
yeah.
those questions.
Well, conditioning, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm not saying once in a while I don't go like, you know, if I got something, I might go like that, or there's just little signals you can give the good coaches, they know right away. So I might be, I'm not gonna turn and talk to him, but I might just go like that, so he knows I got it inside or down. But he's got a catcher, I don't really wanna chat with, I don't know, but I think this guy was trained to do it, and I found it annoying, and I always wanted to say that.
I think we'd all find it annoying if we're getting asked repeatedly over and over, because it's showing that they don't really trust what we're calling. You know, it's
Well, what happens, and it occurs in all officiating. If officials let coaches or players or whatever do certain things that they're not supposed to do, and they let them do it, they're gonna keep doing it.
They'll
And
say
then they
the
run
umpire
into
did
somebody
that.
who says, no, we're not doing it. Well, the guys we had.
Last time.
Yeah, well, they're not here.
Yeah, give me their names, I won't call them.
yeah.
So
And that's
we perpetuate that.
yeah, and that's a big goal with officiating in general. I mean, it's a big, you know, referee magazine, subscribing to that, getting that, so we all get on the same page, so that we all, you know, are fighting the same battle. We're not having to you know, work against other guys. You know, where one guy calls one thing one way and another guy calls it the other way. Now we're, you know, now there's ammunition against the way we're calling it because, oh, so-and-so didn't do it. So we do need to try to work and come up with some consistency. And that's a big part of clinics and camps and things like that, and continuing your education is so we're all kind of on the same page. All right.
Derek, can I comment one
Yeah.
thing? Just right
Go
along.
ahead.
How many of you guys are going to the Wheaton Clinic? Okay, so this is the thing that I would highly encourage everybody to go see. Eric and Derek and those guys, take, you know, when you get a break on that thing, to go right now get some pitches with those guys to fine tune you. I mean, those guys are strong, so I would, don't skip on that, you know. Take just, even if it's 10 minutes and have them work your stance, right?
Yeah. Find some time. You don't have to spend the entire hour in there. You know, you can be like Steriker and show up late to another class.
Bill, for the past 2 years, I've done that, and I think that is by far the best area to go to get your skills honed for the season. They're all minor league umpires, and I won't miss that. And I'll go there for a half a day if I could.
Other than my talk at 10 o'clock, that's.
I'll put in a plug for 2- and 3-man mechanics, of course.
I'm gonna be there for 2-man mechanics and 3-man mechanics.
No, we won't have you.
I'll probably come in a little bit late.
That's okay. We'll still have you. So that's the general.
No one's not even gonna stay, he's out of here. See, another say that guy.
That's right.
Goodbye.
So the general aspects of working the plate, as I've labeled up there, you know, starts with all pregame stuff. You know, into the on the field stuff. You know, talk with your partner. Have a good pregame, concise. Know what you're wanting to say. Rehearse it. Don't write it down and read off it though. You know what you want to say. Be able to think on your feet at the pregame conference. It's only a handful of questions and remarks, and let the coach, you know, do his spiel. And then calling the game. That's where you're going to make your name. You know, that's what people are going to be remembering about you, along with the stuff that's happening on the field when the ball's in play. So it starts with calling balls and strikes really well, but now you've got to know where you need to be when the ball's in play. So this is going to be a much more rapid thing, and I'm going to use my drawing over here. So we have an infield, and really there's the way I see it, there's 5 major situations where you're going to have to be someplace outside of the dirt area, you know, when the ball's in play. And really, that's every play, though. Every time the ball's in play, that's going to lead you outside the dirt area. Now, I worked with a guy last year, it was maybe his 3rd or 4th varsity game. I think Al worked with him later on. Didn't make any changes. He spent most of the game in the dirt area, even when the ball was in play. And I really thought it was going to get us in trouble, where we had a trouble ball down the right field line, and he didn't move. You know, I went out down the line to get the fair foul, catch, no catch. Thankfully, it was fouled by about this much. I look back, thinking he's going to be hopefully back second place. He was standing right here, behind the plate. He didn't move. You got to get out from behind the plate. But where do you move? Well, these 5 things will dictate where you're going to move. So fly ball stuff, where are you going to be?
No one on base?
Yeah, nobody on base.
We're gonna move on.
Where do you?
Just fly ball.
Fly ball. It's going to be. Well, it doesn't matter. Say the fly ball's to the right, down the right field line.
Moving toward the field, they're just gonna make the catch.
For home plate umpire, so you're moving toward the field. Okay, so first responsibility with a fly ball that is not challenging the right field line and not a trouble ball between the right fielder and second baseman. It's going to be your responsibility as home plate umpire. Where do you go to make that call?
I wasn't going out towards first base.
Not to the trouble area.
Not to the trouble
Because
area.
trouble area is going to be your your partner.
Right.
But everything else, so you got a fly ball to center field or left field, where do you go?
Coming out.
You're coming out here, and this is generally your working area. So that's going to be one major position for you to be in. If your partner goes out, then you're going to be cheating up and taking the runner around. But you're still going to be in the middle of the diamond area. So this is your major working area for calling fly balls. So it's a hard 10 steps or so while the ball's in the air, and then when the player's going to get ready to make the catch, what do? Get set. Stop. You don't want to be moving and trying to make a judgment. So get yourself set. You get distance initially, but get set when that play is going to be made. It's so important so you can see it. Ground ball now, where are we going?
Up the line.
Up the line, right. The only exception being what?
Left field line.
Yeah, if the ball is fair or foul. And even then, though, if the third baseman fields a fair ball that you have signaled fair, now you can reroute yourself. You take a couple steps up the line, and now you reroute yourself and get down here, and you're going to stop before the 45-foot mark. You don't need to get right on the runner seals. You don't need to get to the cutout. None of that nonsense. Because what do you want when you see the play? What do you want with your feet?
Swipe tag or
Well,
fishing the base.
what do you want your feet to be doing when the play is happening? You want
Stop.
to be stopped. So again, another hard 10 steps. Get the distance you can get, but when that ball's arriving at first base, you better be stopped and seeing what's happening. And you're looking for, what things? What are you looking for? Full foot swipe tag, and then you can follow if the ball goes, challenges the out of play line. You stay with that, and your partner should hopefully bust in. But then now that's a pregame conversation. If he gets pinched, well, now you got to go this way, and he follows the ball. So there's some give and take with that. So fly ball, ground ball. Now rotation, where are we going to go? So guy on first or first and third, or first and second less than 2. So you're signaling. Of course, all pre-pitch signals. Rotation, your point, or give this signal, whatever you want to do. And then first and second less than 2 outs means we have a possible tag up into third base. So you're going to take that lead runner into third. That's this signal. Where do you go to make that call? The line. Where do we take the play at? Do we take it from the fair side or the foul side?
Foul side, third line.
Is it? Do we want to be in the foul side?
Fair
side. Yeah, maybe the fair side. Yeah. So you want to work your way down. Maybe just on the foul side of the line, but then as the play's happening, you're going to kind of move to the fair side to see the play, to get the best angle, the best look at it. Because the kid's going to be sliding into that side. You want to be able to see the front side of the base. Otherwise, if you're over here, you can't see the front side of the base, right when he contacts it. And then rounding the base, what happens if you're on the foul side and all of a sudden there's no play, and he's coming inside to score? Who's he going to hit? You're in the way. Now it's an oh shit. I gotta get back there. Sorry, language. You gotta use it.
We're on TV.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they mind.
So here is generally where you want to be for the rotation stuff. So you make your way up and get in position and be set, of course. And then fair foul stuff. When is it a fair foul responsibility for you?
Outside the B if there's either the B or C.
Okay, left field line all day. When is it first base line?
In front of the bag. They're an A.
So if they're an A, so now you got to know your responsibilities. If they're an A, you get up to the bag. Which means, and this is a misconception for some people, A ball that goes foul before the base but keeps going past the bag, who's called it?
On the ground?
No, it's a ground ball, goes foul, so obviously it's foul, but it goes past first base. Who calls it?
The home plate umpire.
Home plate. Pre-game conversation.
Any ball that goes past the base, and they use a name, will be the first base umpire's call. The only time the home plate umpire will have the first base line on fair or foul is if the ball stops before the base or is touched before the base. So you get a streaming shot down the first base line, and it's fouled just past the base, that's your partner's call. Even though, you know, we think, oh, I got up to the base and he's got the base beyond. Yeah, the ball went past the base. That's you two's call. That's first base umpire's call.
Two questions. Do you, I mean, what's your position on verbalizing fair ball? I never do.
You never verbalize fair. Never ever say the word fair.
Right.
It sounds like fun.
And
pointing is all you got to do. You know, left hand or right hand. You know, if you're on the third base line, it's a right hand point. If you're on the first base line, it's a left hand point. And if it's close, sell it. You know, give 3 hard points. Yeah, that's. You know, if it's foul, you'll come up big, yell it out, ha, and repeat it if you need to. If you got to sell it. Sorry, bud.
Position of the fielder's feet in a foul ball. Does it matter?
No, it's not a NFL catch. So wherever the ball is, when it's contacted. Same thing with tag-ups, by the way. As soon as that ball's contacted, that guy is legally tagged up as long as he's touching the base when it's first touched. That prevents a fielder from juggling the ball in all the way to the infield. So as soon as it's touched, he can leave and legally advance. And now a tag up at third. Say the ball's down in the right field corner. What do we do as the home plate umpire? Where we gotta see this guy. What do we do? So yeah, you want to get both in that field of view. So you got the ball over here, you know, maybe even worse over here. You got to get down here. So you go back, and now hopefully your periph sees everything. Now you can see the catch. So that's the only other location you're going to be. So these are the primary places that you're going to make all the calls in the infield from. The only exception is, you know, when your partner takes off. And you just kind of cheat out a little bit and take him around all the bases. Because once your partner's out, he stays out. Any questions on your field work?
Okay, when we talked last night on Facebook about a guy at third, the ball hits deep right. As he's coming up the first baseline, the man at third now comes in, and obviously he's made it into home, but now we got a rundown between first and second. Okay. Obviously we're waiting for him to come down. After he crosses home plate, are you as a home plate umpire going to come down to help him with the rundown?
Yeah, once you see the touch. Sure. Yeah, come on down. You got no other responsibility. So come on down and see what you got. The only other thing is when we're calling back here, the big one, right? The play to play. How do you guys call a play to play? Where do you want to be? First baseline extended, third baseline extended. At the point, what happens? Do we come out here?
Behind the left arm, left shoulder.
Okay, so kind of like following it. And I got that from Derek Crable a couple years ago. Just kind of letting the catcher take you. It's never a bad place to be to start here, at the point of the play. And then from there, you read the play, and you try and follow the left shoulder, which is usually the catching shoulder, of the catcher. And you just kind of, you know, he come this way, you step, you know, with him. You know, so who wants to be my catcher? Anybody want to be my catcher? Somebody be a catcher? Hey, Tim, thanks for volunteering. So now you're going to take the play, step up, and you're going to receive it. So now I'm just following this. And I'm seeing the play through his left shoulder. So now you're go up the line a little bit. So now I'm here, and I'm able to see. Say the ball's taking up the third base line. So now I'm here. And now you got the swipe tag. So you just kind of pivot with that shoulder. You follow that around, and that should get you a pretty good position to see the actual tag, the play. So never a bad place to start, but adjust accordingly based on where the catcher is taking you with that tagging arm. So that's the last place for where you're going to have to make calls with balls in play. Any questions on that?
I got some questions. At the Belvedere Clinic, one of the problems that you identified was the lack of communication as you're moving. So are there standard calls that, what is the standard, what are you saying to you two, let him know that you're moving to those places?
Yeah, so fly ball stuff. If I got the ball, I'm going to say, I've got the ball. It's my ball, I got the ball. And that way my partner will come in and pivot, and he should know that. You know, and when he's in the middle, when he's in B and C, well, then we divide up the field. He's got the big B, left field to right field, and I got the line. And he should tell me if he's got the ball. You know, if it's right at the left fielder, right fielder, hopefully I'll get a stop sign from him saying, I got the ball. I may not be able to hear him because he's facing away. But stop sign, that's all pregame stuff. If I think I got it, I'll say, you know, if I'm working out, I got the ball. And that way he now knows to look at the touches. So that's always a give and take and knowing your responsibilities. If he's got the ball, now I've got to make sure I get the touches. And the lead runner, of course, is the most important runner, but get as many as you can. With rotations, I'm at third, I'm here. That way he knows. And if you're on the bases, you might want to just give a quick shoulder check, and I'll talk more about that at the clinic on Saturday. Fair foul, we already talked about that. Don't verbalize fair, only foul balls. With appeals, that's going to be a non-verbal communication with your partner. You know, as you kind of see the appeal coming, you can, hey, that's mine, or that's yours, and hopefully they'll give you that's mine. if you're looking at your partner and he's not seeming, you know, to pay attention to you, it may not be your call, but they might look to you, because coaches don't always know whose responsibility it is for seeing base touches. So be prepared to make a call and prepare to get yelled at for that if in fact they did miss a base. And it wasn't your responsibility, you're just going to have to swallow it. You know, you don't want to throw your partner under the bus, but you can say, hey, you know, I have other responsibilities. You can say that, but you know, it's a fine line, because now they're going to go after your partner. You don't want to be that guy.
Just sell it. You guys should know that there are a lot of teams that the second and third coach, that's all they look for.
Yeah.
Some come out and try and get you, even though, Mike, did you miss that?
Yeah.
No, I did not, Terry, for the 80th time. But they do watch it, and they'll come after you right away.
Yep.
So if you're on the bases, be prepared. Certain things like St. Charles, a lot of St. Charles schools really watch it really close.
Yeah,
there are a number of other schools, but they do watch it very closely.
So that's a pregame discussion, you know, who's got what base touches and when. So got to know, yeah, it's a big part of the game. It's called baseball. All right, that's pretty much it with ball and play. Then I just have some finer points, which Bill already talked about. You know, catcher holding the pitch, he doesn't care, whatever. I've gotten aggravated with it, and I've told catcher, knock it off. You know, if he keeps doing it, then I'll make it very clear. I don't like being shown up by you. Not always the best thing to do, but sometimes you can get away with it.
Talk to him while you're playing outside.
Yeah. Don't do that. Stop doing that. It's not going to help you. What about a batter, you know, a negative demonstrative motion, where you just, come on. Maybe he says something verbal. What do you do?
Ignore.
You ignore it? I mean, this is where you got to kind of feel it out for yourself. That's why I title it Finer Points.
Knock it off. That's what ball.
Okay.
It depends. Early in the game, first time, or, you know, you're not as sensitive. You know, later in the game, it does it again.
And talk about sensitivity between beginning of the game and end of the game. How about beginning of the year, end of the year?
Right.
You find their patience dwindles a little bit as the season progresses, where you're just sick of getting, you know, flack from people. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, we have that patience and that thick skin built up. I know from, you know, at times where there's a temptation to give the FU strike. You know,
temptation.
Yeah, or you do it. Yeah, that sends a clear message.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, if you don't like this, then you're not going to like the next one. How about drawing a line? What if he, you know, takes the bat and draws a line on you? Yeah, that's showing you up nice and clear. You can dump him for that, and everybody should understand that.
Don't pause ever.
Yeah. So drawing a line is a no-no. So that's yeah, could have been, but it's a big no-no. It's crossing a line. And then we talked a little bit about coaches barking about balls and strikes and how you address that. You know, can coaches argue balls and strikes?
No.
Is that a rule?
Yes. And you go right.
Is it in the book? Can somebody show me what page?
In drill, you're not allowed to leave your position to argue balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Unless you call time, they go time.
So is there a federal about that, being questioned and yelling about balls and strikes? Can you eject somebody for arguing balls and strikes in high school?
Yeah, it's
Judgment call.
Well, this year, should you?
Warning.
Yeah, now we have another rule. Yeah, we have another tool in our repertoire of things to do. So, you know, you get out your written warning, you know, you write down, this is your warning, and now, is anybody clear on that? Because I haven't read enough about it. Is it automatic restriction with the warning, or is it an option?
The warning should be used as a warning.
So warning is a warning, restriction is restriction, or?
You don't have to follow an order, but
Yeah.
it gives you the opportunity to send that message, so you can take, I mean, I would recommend, you do it in college, but you just take a book out, and this guy just go like, that's a warning, and then I sometimes write it down, write it down. And then that puts them on notice. You can go right away, I mean, you don't have to go warning.
Well, I'm just curious, is the restriction,
I think from what I've read, I haven't looked into it real close, but I think it says when you give the official warning, the restrictions include.
okay, so the restriction and warning are married. So, that's what I thought it was, but I haven't looked hard enough at my preseason materials. Okay, so.
Which is kind of crazy because that's where the complaint is coming.
Yeah.
What's the point of restricting? The thing is, you can give an unofficial warning by just giving a stop sign like.
Yeah, and you can work through progression. I don't want it here anymore, and then.
Restricted, then he knows for sure he got one.
There's no fooling.
Do this one time before I get a.
So what's the point of the written warning then? If
It's keeping coaches in the game.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but if you're restricting them to the dugout, isn't that keeping them in the game? I mean, I would think that if you're
Then
warning them,
game.
then he
You weren't
goes,
restricting enough. You were going too quickly to eject.
Yeah, ejections weren't being used judiciously, basically. Ejections were being used too frequently, too
has
quickly.
nothing to do with the climate of the people you're working for.
So, for example, this happened to me last year. Strike three, catcher's glove removed. Catcher goes, hey, coach is coming here. I go, do you want time? He goes, yes. I call time to let them know the catcher called time. I went to the left side, outside the batter's box, and got out my book because I saw the coach coming, and he comes up close. I said, you have a change, coach? And he goes, well, I want to know where that pitch was. And I got next to him, not in front of him. I got next to him. I said, we're not going to argue balls and strikes. Do yourself a favor. You have the winning run on second with one out. You should probably just go back. And I said, just go back to the box. I never heard anything.
Coach comes out of the dugout.
No, he came from third base line.
Yeah. If he leaves his position to argue balls and strikes, there's no conversation.
Right. You're not going to say stop sign, and if he walks through it, then you have grounds to get rid of it.
Well, that mistake I made was not doing it right away. I said, hey, just do yourself a favor, just go back. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't want to eject you, but I will.
You don't let it go.
No, that's why I'm asking, because I want to make sure.
If he's coming towards you, you know what he's doing, they no, stop. If he's coming, say, coach, we're not arguing. If he gets, as he's coming to you, and if he doesn't stop, then you throw him out. You don't let that conversation.
So that's what I'm saying. My mistake was letting it go too long. It should have been no, and then go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can stop. Like, you know, you look at him and you put that and say, no, don't come down here. He'll stop.
And that was my fault, because I went over to think about what I'm going to say, and then say no, and instead of I should have just did that and left it go.
You have to think about it, because there's only one, should only be one response.
So there's no restriction on that?
It's like him coming out of the dugout.
He was here now.
You wouldn't do that?
He's gone.
Okay.
In 2016, Alan, you wouldn't restrict him?
No.
So that's mainly what I'm asking. So if he comes like that, I got to go, and then go.
If there's still a provision that if he does something, extreme, which I would say running goes coming from the third base coach box, the home plate argue ball and strikes is extreme.
Okay.
So you can blast past everything.
Okay.
You always have that provision.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen again, but I want to make sure that I stay within the new
Well,
stuff.
such a great strike, so Anthony, nobody started with that.
To be honest with you, the catcher goes, I don't know why he came down. The catcher goes, I don't know why he came down. He's been consistent all game.
Well,
We know
most
that.
of the third-base coaches.
Yeah.
And the catcher told you.
No, the catcher from the other side, he's like, you've been consistent all game. He goes, I don't know why he even came down there.
We can't get in their heads. They're going to do things that we don't understand, and we just have to deal with what they present to us. And then lastly, interference and obstruction, then we'll get out of here. Just make sure you're firm with your call. And I forgot to mention that. Force play slide rule, you're going to be in the same general area as that fly ball coverage. So when you got a guy on first, you're going to bust up. That is your primary pull foot swipe tag. That's your secondary. So you're going to come up, get a look at that slide into second base from that circle by the mound. And, if you got interference, you sell it hard. You point, you yell, that's interference. And then you get both. You get that guy and the guy first. So interference is sell it. Make sure everybody knows what you're calling. Same thing with obstruction.
We can run through that, not loud, we can just run through that call from your point of view.
Sure. What I would do if I'm going to say, that's interference! And I'm going to point, and I'm going to be loud with it. And I might say it a second time. So I point where it happened, and I yell, interference. And then I'm going to kill it.
Time, and then we get to.
So, interference, point, kill it. Because
Letting the ball loose.
What's that?
Is that not letting the ball loose? The runner coming in and not letting her see anything?
It's violating the force play slide rule. So that means if they go in with a cleat above the knee, or have any part of their body not slide directly into the base, or they slide through the base. Any of that is a violation of the force play slide rule. So basically, the runner is limited to sliding directly into the base legally. If he doesn't slide directly into the base, then he can be in violation. His only other option is to peel off out of the way.
No pop-up.
Yeah, no pop-up slides. Pop-up slides are force play slide rule violation. So, he slides in, comes up, and makes contact. Maybe even if he doesn't make contact. If you judge that interfered with that turn at second base, then you can get 2. Obstruction, same general thing. That's obstruction, but then you have a delayed dead ball. Do I stick my arm out?
No, unless you do softball.
Yeah, don't stick your arm out. That's obstruction. And then that hopefully people hear you.
That's a lane violation. To me, it seems like one of the toughest calls in a one-man game is the catcher's interference because, when a guy's running, you want to get out behind that plate to get a clear angle. You don't want to stand back in the dirt.
You're meaning interference on the catcher?
Yes.
Like the catcher's being
sorry,
interfered
the
with?
batter.
Okay, so you're talking the bat is hitting the catcher's glove? Sorry.
The batter is getting in the way. Of the
Gotcha.
catcher.
So the batter is interfering with the catcher.
It's almost like when the ball comes in.
So he's here.
Yeah, and I don't stand back in the dirt. Get to the side so I can get close to the mound to watch that play second, see if the tag's made or not.
In a one-man, I wouldn't worry about gaining too much distance because, first of all, they should understand that you're not going to be able to get out there. So you're going to want to see everything happen here and then 2 or 3 hard steps while the ball's in play. That's it. That's all you're going to get. So see it here. See what happens with the batter. See if there's any interference or follow-through, interference, where the follow-through interference has now been, comes back and he whaps the catcher with it and he's trying to make a play. That's interference on the batter. And of course, what's the penalty for that? Who's out? Yeah, this guy's out here for the act, and then that guy goes back. Yeah, so if he steps, do we need contact for this? No. It's more of a safety issue. So he steps across and you see the catcher kind of, stop himself or hold up, you can get an interference on that. If he's out of the box, he needed to violate the box. He has to be out of the box. If he's saying he's got every right to be here.
And if it's strike 3?
Strike 3, you can get them both.
Bang them both.
Yep.
Not indeterminate how many outs there are right there.
If it's
strike 3
two outs, the batter's out, and you get a new batter the next time. So that's the big issue, knowing that. You don't want the same guy coming up to bat. Well, yeah, that's...
What did you just use? That 2 different things.
Let me work through that. So your question is 2 outs.
Nobody out.
Okay, nobody out. So now you can get...
Strike 3.
Strike 3, now you get 2 outs. You got the out for strike three.
You
So
go,
you got two outs.
you
Yeah.
go in, strike three and a batter,
And now,
batter's interference.
so now you got to penalize
Yeah,
them.
both right there.
You got to penalize for that.
Freshman baseball. That coach is gonna say, he's not gonna throw him, that's completely inconceivable that he's gonna get him there at second. Little catcher came.
It doesn't matter.
Safety
Yep.
issue.
Can you go through that again though? So the interference, the batter's out.
Yeah, the batter's out.
2 outs?
When it's 2 outs, well, now we got the issue of what happens if he throws out the runner.
Then you have nothing.
And we had nothing. Yeah, so there was no actual interference if he's still able to throw out the runner. So now the runner's out, the batter stays. If there is 2 outs.
If there's 0
The
outs.
reason why you want to get the
Oh,
batter is that it's not a time play.
If there's, anytime the batter interferes and an out isn't made on the runner that's being played on, then that batter is out. Whoever interferes is the person that's out. Same thing like a ball in play and it hits the runner. You know, the person that got hit, he's out, he interfered.
The only exception would be runner going from third to home.
Yeah.
Less than 2 outs.
And that's a great point. So get in the rule book, know this. The bigger penalty, if they got a guy out there, say there's a squeeze play or whatever, and he goes to bunt, and he leaves his box, and the catcher's trying to make a play, and he gets interfered with, you're going to get the guy on third out because that's a bigger penalty. You're going to penalize the offense, and you're going to reward the defense for that guy's interference because it's not fair because they're just saving it out at the plate by the batter getting in the way. Now they get to keep a guy out there. That's not fair. So you get the out at third, and then the batter stays.
Still up the bat?
Yeah. Yep. Unless it's strike three.
And that holds true with catchers or coaches and things too, right? You get the guy closest to the plate.
No, you get the guy that the coach interfered with. Yeah. So whoever.
Third coming home.
No. Let's say like third baseman's coming to get a play. I had that in the game, looked it up, and it was right. Forget it.
Okay. Yeah, with that stuff, I mean, get the rule book, refresh yourself on all that.
So you said the bigger play on the runner in third is going to score, you call him out. What about a guy in second? Saying he's out third is a bigger play than get the batter out too.
Well, what do you do with the guy?
Send him back.
He goes back and back. Yeah, he goes back, so there's no advantage gained with that guy. So that guy stays at second. Guy that was coming home is out, and now that batter is
But you
still.
say the same thing, you send the guy back to third, there's no advantage gained.
No, because they were gonna make an out. You know, if he bunts through it,
Oh, I see.
and it's strike two, and now they got an out of the plate, and the batter just gets in the way, cause interference, well, now I'm out, but I still got a guy through one out now. Where it should have been, guy on second with 1 out, and that kid off the bat, so.
That makes sense.
All right, last second questions, we're pretty much out of time. I didn't plan to go this long, but here we are. So, get in there, get in that rhythm, know your game prep stuff, send emails, do your pregame, have a quality coaches conference, rehearse that before the season, know what you want to say, 30 seconds or less. If you're the base guy, don't add anything, just say it sounds good. And then, know how to work the dish.
Good job. Hey, next week, clinic Saturday. Next week, John Muller is going to be here, talking about rules that catch you up. So
I promise you, it'll go to
if you're
mine.
going to miss a week, next week's the week to miss.